Mahomes heading into Baltimore. I feel like most people have the Ravens as a lock in this game, and I feel like people are almost wildly too confident. I get the Ravens were the most dominant team this round, and they're the only ones that leave a blowout in mind. They were able to dominate the Texans there. However, I feel like the Chiefs defense on another level than the Houston Texans. You have the experience with Steve Spagnuolo. You've gone up against Lamar Jackson before, and then him and Patrick Mahomes have had their respective battles. But do you think the Chiefs are being underrated coming into this game and people are a little bit too high on Baltimore? Or do you think it's fair to say that they are the overwhelming favorites at home?
I think that they're favored, I believe, at 6.5, if I'm not mistaken. Last time I checked the spreads, I think that's a little high. I know why they believe in the Ravens as much as they do, and I'm definitely on board. I think the Ravens will probably win this game. However, we're talking about the guy who is being asserted as the baby goat. This is a guy who is 17-1 in games not against Tom Brady in the playoffs. This is a guy who has 2 Super Bowls, has made 3, and in 6 years, half of them has resulted in a Super Bowl appearance. So I do think that it's a little bit overhyped. I do think that the Chiefs will cover the spread, but this is ridiculous. We do have 2 great teams here. We have the baby goat and we have Lamar Jackson here. This is going to be a classic.
Yeah, I think this will be a classic matchup. And do you think this means more for Patrick Mahomes, who's made it to 6 straight AFC title games, has won 2 Super Bowls, has gotten to 3 Super Bowls here, but he's beaten one of these staunch defenses like the San Francisco 49ers, who were loaded everywhere. They had Richard Sherman on the team at that time. Nick Bosa was in his prime. And then he also went up against the Philadelphia Eagles defense in the playoffs last year that also looked unstoppable, similar to the Baltimore Ravens. And there wasn't too much of a different talents wise, where we have Pacheco, Rasheed Rice, who can make plays now, and then Travis Kelsey. And then you look at the flip side, is there more pressure on him to get back to a Super Bowl when he already has 2, or is there more pressure on the Baltimore Ravens to get to that first Super Bowl in the Lamar Jackson era and capitalize on the 1 seed and the 2 weeks of rest?
I definitely think it's on the Ravens, and I definitely think it's on Lamar because all year the narrative has been the Chiefs are vulnerable. This is their chance to make it past. And, we had Josh Allen as the first competitor, or technically the first competitor was Tua in this case. And Tua, unfortunately, as much as he was the MVP favorite at one point, did not stand up to the test. And then Josh Allen had a great game against the Chiefs, but unfortunately, his kicker was born without legs. That's right. Tyler Fish did not let them deliver here. Now, for the Ravens, I think that of the teams that they faced in the playoffs, they are easily the best. They have the kicker, Justin Tucker. I have seen he does have legs, in fact. And that defense, I definitely think I would put this defense above the Eagles' defense of last year
Yeah.
and the Niners. This is a really intense team. These Ravens defenses, which historically are great, I think that there's so much talent everywhere. We look at the team. This is a team that I feel like throughout the season has never really not looked like a championship team. So this is definitely their biggest competition here. And I think the pressure's on the Ravens for sure. Lamar Jackson, can he overcome Patrick Mahomes? But I do think he's up for the challenge.
Yeah, I think he's up for the challenge too, and that won't be too much of a competition. I think both these guys will show up and show out. It'll be a situation where whoever has the last ball, whoever has the last possession will end up winning the game here. And then you look at the coaching matchup, it's pretty interesting. John Harbaugh served under Andy Reid from 1998 to 2006, I believe, as the special teams coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then he was kind of under the wing of Andy Reid, and he's under that underrated tree of Andy Reid, who everyone talks about how much better his head coaches he's produced are than Bill Belichick. How do you see the coaching matchup playing into it? And can you see Andy Reid getting the better of maybe his understudy here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that head coaching wise, Andy Reid would have the edge. Just the way he's able to scheme up play calls, and then on the other side, you have Steve Spagnuolo, who has really taken this defense to another level. There's a lot of great talent on the Chiefs with George Karlaftis and Nick Bolton and some of the other guys, Trent McDuffie, all these guys that they've hit on the last couple of years. I do think that the Ravens, John Harbaugh has proven to be a great head coach in the NFL. He has won a Super Bowl as well, and he's been in these tough games, and he's been to multiple AFC title games as well. So matchup wise, like Andy Reid probably has the edge, but I don't think the edge is as significant as it might sound. John Harbaugh been in these big situations before, and I think that they can rise to the occasion.
Yeah, I think they can rise to the occasion, and it's definitely tough, especially when you're the overwhelming favorite at home. And it'll mostly be how is the Kansas City Chiefs offense going to match up against that defense? And is there any way Kansas City's defense can turn it up another level from where they were in Buffalo here? Because I feel like if you're going to prepare for Lamar Jackson and you're going to prepare for that style of running quarterback, the best way to do it would be up against like someone like Josh Allen, and they didn't even turn over the ball in that game. There's some missed opportunities, but for the most part, Josh Allen played a clean game here. Do you think, just with the way they played the Bills, how the Bills were able to move the ball, it seemed like it wasn't too difficult? Do you think Lamar is going to be a whole different animal against this defense and they'll be able to expose some of the things that the Bills did?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because the thing with the Bills, and we talked about this last episode, is not only does the Chiefs have their number, but they also have in the back of their head, like, we have this 13-second game that's behind us now. We have this game, and then obviously all the other narratives, they got crushed the first time they faced in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson has never faced Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, so he doesn't have that there. And then you look to the regular season where they've had some classic games. I looked 2 years
Yeah.
ago with that comeback game with Lamar Jackson where he had, I think, like 400 yards. He rushed for 100 yards. And
Yeah.
I do think that although Josh Allen is a great mobile quarterback, I think Lamar Jackson, the what he can do with his legs is on a whole nother level of any other quarterback in the league. He can run for 100 yards any given day. And then now what he's been able to do as a passer this year has been
Yeah.
incredible with Todd Monken, the OC, what he's been able to do for the Ravens. And now he's got that ability that Patrick Mahomes has where he can avoid pressure, he can avoid getting sacked, and then get that play down the field that might not have been opened that first 2, 3 seconds. So I think Lamar Jackson's harder to game plan for right now than Josh Allen. Plus, also with Lamar, you see a lot less turnovers with Lamar than you see with Josh Allen. With Josh Allen, you have him in his head a little bit, and he is prone for mistakes. He didn't have any mistakes last game, but Lamar Jackson, he's a tough guy to plan for.
Yeah, I think Lamar is going to be like the toughest guy to plan for in this game. It's tough because the Ravens had that 2 weeks off and now they have the time to prepare for the Chiefs. And this is going to be the Chiefs' second road game here. But Patrick Mahomes does elevate his game on the road here. And it does worry me in this matchup when you have everyone talking about the Baltimore Ravens, talking about how actually the Bills would have been a tougher matchup for the Baltimore Ravens than the Kansas City Chiefs would have been. I'm like, first of all, no, the Chiefs won the game on the road when the matchup was pretty much even. And then you had some injuries on the Bills defense, but the Chiefs offense, it's like it's Pacheco, it's Kelsey, it's Rasheed Rice. That's pretty much it. You get some Christian Watson sightings, but you have Patrick Mahomes, who has gone up against the Brady led Patriots defense, who has fallen behind in these games. He's pretty much seen every defense at this point in his career. And then something that people forget about Patrick Mahomes, probably because it looks like he's doing it in slow motion, but he is very good at it, is in the playoffs, he starts to run the football a lot more. And then he's able to create those second chances for his team. And in a game like this, I think it's going to come down to the last drive, but I just have a hard time betting against Patrick Mahomes where he's an underdog, especially where he can get to give himself the excuse where if he loses this game, they weren't the favorite anyways. It was Baltimore's year. They're clearly kicking ass. It's like almost with this season, anything you expect to happen, you're not going to be able to count on that being the case. And I think with Patrick Mahomes being in the conference championship year in, year out, Andy Reid having that experience, and then Steve Spagnuolo, it's going to be a tough game. But I think the Kansas City Chiefs defense will be able to rise to the occasion, make enough plays that all you need is Patrick Mahomes to be able to make one drive and keep the game close enough. And I don't see the Ravens just running them off the field the way they've done to other teams like a Miami Dolphins, like a San Francisco 49ers, or the Houston Texans. I think this is going to be a whole nother level, especially you look at that first half with the Texans. They gave up a special teams touchdown, and CJ Stroud was able to do enough to keep them in that game. And the Ravens are a first half team. And then in the second half, they have petered off in the regular season here. So I think it's just too much of a weight on the Ravens right now. And then when it's the opposite, where Patrick Mahomes is expected to lose, where people aren't betting on Travis Kelce. They're not betting on Andy Reid. He's only lost to one other person besides Tom Brady, and that was Joe Burrow. I it's just tough to knock off the defending champs, especially the Kansas City Chiefs. The only argument really is they haven't got to back Super Bowls yet. Travis Kelce hinting at it's his last year. So I think with that being the case, Patrick Mahomes knows with Andy Reid potentially contemplating retirement, with Travis Kelce maybe wanting to retire. So him and Jason Kelce will go into the Hall of Fame the same year. I think all of those factors play in the Chiefs' favor. And then all the pressure is on Baltimore. They've proven they can rise to the occasion. But this is another level versus a team that wasn't supposed to be here when the Chiefs had to go to Buffalo, and now they get to take it up even another level in Baltimore. And then you can reminisce on Tom Brady's run to the Super Bowl when he beat Heineke. Well, Patrick Mahomes beat a similar player to Taylor Heineke in Tua there. And then he went there, beat Josh Allen. Tom Brady beat Drew Brees, and now he gets to go up Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be that type of run to get him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So I am taking the Ravens. I do think the Ravens win. However, we talk about the Chiefs and their comparison to the Patriots dynasty. And at this point, we can call the Chiefs the dynasty. Six straight AFC title games. They've made three Super Bowls. They've won two. And a lot of those Super Bowls that the Patriots made it to, yes, they were obviously very good in the regular season. But, we look at the 2018 Patriots. This is a team that, okay, well, Gronk is old. Travis Kelsey's old.
Yeah.
Julian Edelman as your number one. Rashid Rice as your number one. I don't know. And then your running back game, you're talking about like Sony Michelle and some of these other guys here, the running game, LeGarrette Blunt at certain points. Like a lot of weapons you're like kind of questionable about. Is this our last run before things start to break off? Very reminiscent to the 2018 Patriots. To what we saw with the Chiefs here. It sounds like with Andy Reid potentially retiring, with Travis Kelsey moving on, who knows exactly the future of the Chiefs? Not saying they're going anywhere, but that current iteration of the Chiefs, can that be changed? But here with the Ravens, I think that what I've seen from the Ravens all year is I've seen them be consistent throughout. I've seen them not really have anybody beat them. I've seen them beat themselves, and that was only a handful of games this year. And I think that with Lamar, he has shown what he showed last week was telling to me. The way they made those second half adjustments, the way they elevated in the second half, and just with how dynamic he can be, I think that Lamar Jackson is of the caliber of a guy who can beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. I do think that him and Joe Burrow are comparable, and I think that those teams are relatively comparable as well. I think that this is a team we have said all year, this is a vulnerable Chiefs team, and it's going to bear the fruit. This game is, are they really vulnerable? And I think that they are. I do think that their weapons have given them some opportunities to the other team, which we don't normally see, like the McCole Hardman fumble last game, where they have some goofy receivers. And I do think that it comes to fruition in this game because I think this Ravens team is capable of causing some of these mistakes, whether it be from McCole Hardman or, dare I say, Kadarius Toney if he plays. So I do think this is the time where I do think the Ravens do prevail this time.